What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with...
Verse 1!
And once again, we're being guttural in our speech as we approach yet another for the greater...
Zoom. That's us approaching it. This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. That's what WP and J did. They ask, because it's a lot. Would you say Space Marines in the 40K era, like Dante and Caldor Drago, are stronger than their brethren of the Heresy? So I think there's a very specific distinction that we have to talk about before we answer the question, and that is that if you have a named character, that named character is going to be stronger than anything else. So we have to look at it from like an average Space Marine perspective. So like a regular battle brother that you would have on the tabletop. I said it weird, yeah. And there's three categories: Primaris, Heresy era Space Marines, and your regular Space Marines, that or the old Marines they're called now.
Firstborn, classic Marines, whatever you want to call them.
Yep. And I think the ranking is Primaris top, then comes the Heresy Space Marines, and then on the bottom are the actual old Marines.
I'm going to flip the first two.
Okay.
So my reasoning behind that is that the Heresy era Marines, they're older, yes, but they've got all that battle experience, and some of them still have the weapons from the era. Weapons that sometimes have gone completely out of production because materials aren't there or they lost the STC. So in terms of like outright battle capacity, they know how to fight and they know the weapons that they're using.
Yeah.
Whereas the Primaris Marine, yes, they're stronger, faster, better in terms of biology, but they don't have the full-on experience.
Yeah, and that is something that I didn't take into account because I was thinking it was just like biology, like gene seed-wise, because there's a huge deterioration in the Heresy to now. So obviously the old Marines are the lowest because they've had degeneration of their gene seed for so long.
Right.
And the Primaris, I figured, the Primaris are getting the gene seed from the Horus Heresy era, so the exact same, or Great Crusade era, and it's just being like revamped. So that's why I figured like they would be on top. But yes, you're right. I think that the closer you get to the past, the more knowledge there is on how a weapon works and the better the weapon is.
Yeah, because even though like Belisarius Cawl has improved the bolter and has made many different variations, same thing with power armor. You go back to like the Contemptor Dreadnoughts, and those are still outperforming Redemptor. I think that's the Primaris version of the Dreadnought.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah. So if you include war gear, yeah. But also the cool thing is that, like we were talking about with special named characters, it really depends on the story that's being told.
Yeah.
That's the struggle, right?
Because you could have Calgar fighting against the Swarm Lord and get all his limbs chopped off, but he doesn't die.
Yeah.
And then he just comes back stronger, and then he comes back as a Primaris. So that's already a buff in and of itself.
Right. Good question, though.
Yeah, very interesting to ponder. Do you guys agree, or do you think that Primaris are better? Because when you look at the tabletop, obviously Primaris is going to do better.
They have 3 wounds, don't they?
Some of them do, yeah.
This question comes from first name, last name. When and how did you guys get interested into playing 40K? Well, you said Warhammer. I'm guessing you mean like Warhammer 40K and not Warhammer Age of Sigmar? We'll answer both.
Yeah.
So we started playing 40K. How old were we? We were like 12 maybe?
Yeah, it was like early middle school, I think.
And the reason that I got introduced to it is because here in America, we have things called, what are they called? Malls. So huge shopping centers, and one of the little stores was, well, Games Workshop. And just as a kid, you don't really see that. That's not a common, like there was KB Toys, there's Toys R Us, but there was never a thing like that.
Yeah.
I was mesmerized by it. And then I kept like window shopping because they had like
the models on display.
And then finally some dude was like, hey man, like you keep coming in here. Do you want to come in? I'll show you what these things are. And he gave me a little orc. And then I told these guys, like the friends, and then we went over there for I think my birthday or something, and then we started playing.
Yeah,
kind of.
Somewhat, yeah. Because we played. Well, first we bought just a single pack of Space Wolves. We had no idea what they were, how to build them. We just built them the way they looked cool to us.
Yeah.
I remember I had one with 2 axes. And we played on a piece of cardboard that we made into like a checkered. And then we put like black squares that like if you get shot, you move 3 paces back. And if you fall into the black square, you fall into the void and you die.
Yep.
So it's essentially, it was a mix of like checkers and 40K, but very dumbed down.
Yeah.
And we played like that for a long time.
Yep.
Because we never actually played 40K until 5th edition.
Right.
And that was eye-opening.
It was, yeah. And I think we were a little intimidated because we were so young at the actual rules, and you would hear the guys talk. Like I remember one time being at a Games Workshop and some kid was like, well, the way the atmosphere would work, like there's no way that person could have shot this guy. And I was like, you have to take into account the atmosphere in a game? I don't know what they were talking about because, like, knowing the rules now,
there's no,
yeah,
unless they were doing like a special mission where like gravity was a thing and you move faster or something.
Yeah, but that's how we got introduced to it, and then I don't regret it.
Yeah, it's always fun jumping into something you have no idea about, and like you learn about this one thing. It's like, oh well, this thing leads to that, and it's just a snowball effect, and yeah. It's fun.
The cool thing too was like how expansive the hobby was, because one of like the best memories I have is the little checkered board pattern thing that we did, and it was like very primitive terrain building, and terrain building is essential to like the hobby. I love that part of it, and I remember super gluing rocks that we could get from outside onto the piece of cardboard. And that's like a sense of nostalgia. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. We don't say it as much now, but in the older days, we had a saying that would be like, shoot him in the jetpack.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you positioned your mini accordingly where you could see the jetpack, if you shot and hit him, the jetpack would explode.
Yeah.
And that was the little joke we had. Like, oh, just hit him in the jetpack.
Yeah. That was fun. And then we never got into fantasy. So Old World is what I think it's called now.
Or it's going to be coming back as, yeah.
But Age of Sigmar we recently got into. And the reason we got into it is just because we wanted to play.
Yeah, the models, in my opinion, look better than 40K.
Right.
I really like mounts, and Age of Sigmar has incredible mounts. And we decided to jump into it. And it's fun because it's like doing the research and all the armies, the play styles, the models. Yeah. It was really cool. And you went with, what was the first one you bought? Was it the Beastmen?
No, the first one was Blades of Corn. Then I bought some Beastmen, and then I bought some Eternal. What are they called?
Stormcast Eternals. Yeah. I was on the fence between the Sylvaneth and the Night Haunt because, in my opinion, those were the two armies vastly different from 40K. Tree people and ghosts. And I saw a really good offer for the Night Haunts, and I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah. I also really like the fact that they were fantasy miniatures, so I could use them for D&D when we used to play D&D.
Right. It's been a long time since we played.
Yeah.
COVID. Good question. What about you guys? Let us know how you guys were introduced to the hobby. Whether it was books, painting, you saw minis, your brother's old collection.
This next question comes from Herman Ferreras. Is the Sound Alchemist away for Christmas, Gersh?
I am. I'm actually over there.
Yeah.
Oh, he asked you, not me.
Oh, he's actually over there. He's here now. And Christmas is not... You know Christmas is a pagan holiday?
Origins.
Nice.
If you guys haven't seen it, watch Klaus on Netflix. It was surprisingly really good.
What is that about?
Christmas. Oh. It's like an animation. Was it like a Emmy nominee?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Cool. It didn't win, but it got nominated. Gideon Kreider. So if Tyranids are apex predators, wouldn't they go for the weakest target first, even if they have the numbers? It seems like they could easily have a snowball effect if they do this tactic.
I mean, they are. They're going after
Humanity.
right. And what is weakest to an apex predator like that?
When you're the Swarm Lord, everybody's weaker than you.
Right.
I mean, look at Calgar. Ooh, shots fired. But yeah, they do essentially work in those ways. But at the same thing, if you have numbers, everything could look weak to you. I mean, look at Ripper Swarms. They attack anything and everything. And they're like itty-bitty piranhas with teeth on land.
Right. This next question comes from Jonah Colombo. Why are there Imperial Guard medics? They have so much manpower available. Shouldn't the resources be used elsewhere instead of trying to save the dude's life, even if his injuries mean that the soldier will never fight again? I think it's just the human nature of like trying not to let your brother die. Because imagine being part of a group and you get hurt, and then the group just like leaves you behind. Then the people who are okay in that group start thinking like, shit, that can be me. And that's when you have people running away. Then it becomes a situation of like, yeah, I'm not gonna fight for the Emperor just if you guys are gonna treat me like that. So I think it's a way to save face.
That's true, but at the same time, look at what commissars do. Oh, you're not gonna fight for the Emperor? Boom, dead.
I think that's fear that is like instilled as like an authority figure, whereas there is no authority figure if your group just leaves you dead. Or not even dead, but dying.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, it's like, if you can just give somebody, like, a shot of morphine and they could keep fighting, that's better than them, like, tending to their wound and stuff.
Yeah. But then the morphine is part of the aid, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing with prosthetics. Yeah. Like, the guy's hand might get blown off, but if you put something on there that, he can keep fighting. And resources are... You should check out our 40 facts on the Adeptus Administratum. It's not as organized as you think. When people view the Imperial Guard, they think it's like a really well-organized type of thing. It's not. Like, resources are wasted on way more complicated things. Medics is not one of them, I think. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Next question.
Gideon Kreider asks, if pylons were put around Terra and it cuts it off from the warp, would the Emperor still need to sit on the throne? Yeah, because the Emperor is powering the Astronomicon. That's like saying, I'm going to put the fastest internet, but I'm also going to put a dome around my house so that it can't escape or get in. Yep. That's counterproductive. Yep. Oh, but I see what you're getting at. So you're saying, would that allow the Emperor to get off the throne and not have demons invade? I think that's what you mean.
Oh, okay.
Because like as soon as the Emperor gets off, obviously a warp portal is going to open up and demons are going to invade Terra. But if you shut it off from the warp via pylons, that shouldn't happen. Right?
No, because the Eye of Terror was still open when the pylons were on Cadia.
True.
So like I think it holds it in check. It's like really bad stitches. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seal it, but it doesn't make it worse.
Yeah. And at this point, the Imperium is dependent on psychic powers and the connection to the Immaterium. That is what the not Startide Nexus. What's the thing with the Necrons? The Pariah Nexus. That is what the Pariah Nexus is doing. It's cutting humanity from the Immaterium, and it's not good for humanity. Like it's like the Shadow of the Warp. Exactly like the Shadow of the Warp. You don't want that. Because then you lose communication.
Marcus Rubio, his question is, if the Emperor didn't choose Horus to be the War Master, which other Primarch do you believe would be a better choice? Well, Horus was charismatic, so I think I want to pick somebody that is charismatic.
Sanguinius. Yeah. I would say Sanguinius.
That's true. Either Sanguinius or I'd go with probably Guilliman.
I feel like Guilliman is like that asshole who's like better than you at everything, and you know that, but he's not like nice about it. Whereas Sanguinius would be nice about it. Mm-hmm. He would try to teach you.
I just choose Sanguinius because the dude's got wings. Like,
that's true.
Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, am I going to listen to this dude who puts leaves on his head or a freaking angel?
I would listen to the angel. Mm-hmm. This question comes from Simon_Dinosaur. Was it a software failure or hardware failure that made the robot's replacement for the real sound alchemist unavailable? And will you ever let the real sound alchemist out of the basement? Let me read that first part again. Was it software failure or hardware failure that made the robot replacement for the real sound alchemist unavailable? Okay, I get it now. It was... What was it?
I don't know, because I thought I was a potato monster.
Yeah, monsters don't really have software or hardware.
We got like... What's in the middle of soft and hard? Semi-flaccid? No. Chub hardware?
Yep, chub hardware. Yeah. That was the malfunction.
Yeah.
Luckily for us, he's back. And the real sound alchemist is not in my basement because I live on a slab.
I'm underneath the slab.
Yeah, that's the dirt.
Mm-hmm. But apparently I'm not a potato monster anymore. I was reincarnated through the Zangors. They got beaks. So I got a beak.
You gotta guess where the beak is.
Mm-hmm. Scat G. All right, guys, be honest. Did you accidentally kill the sound alchemist and bury him in the garden?
Like I said, I live on a slab. I don't have a garden.
Nothing grows through the cracks?
Nope. That's the point of the slab. We killed everything underneath it.
No front yard, no backyard, just slab.
Slab. The sound alchemist is back, though, which is good.
Find my beak, please.
Yeah.
Jacob Cuthbert. Is the flesh really weak? I mean, especially when it comes to space marines?
No.
No, they got strong flesh.
Yeah.
Thick flesh.
They're
They're
titanium fibered.
thick-skinned.
Mm-hmm.
That's the muscles that are like titanium fibers. Not so much the skin, but it's still pretty hard.
Isn't your skin the biggest organ?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll show you the biggest organ. But you got to go through my beak first.
Space Marines don't have penises, though.
That's true. So I guess their skin is the biggest organ. Well, except if you're a salamander, because their biggest organ is their hearts.
That's true. It's the 2 hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have 2.
Yeah, that's true. Because they love everybody. They're like the Grinch at the end of the movie. Their hearts grew, was it 3 times that big?
Yep.
That's an actual medical emergency.
Yeah.
He should seek assistance.
He's probably going to die. Opa Miga. He asks, why do you waste your time reading out questions that are written in broken English? So I just can't read. So it's not actual broken English. I can't speak. I can't read.
But not everybody that watches us are English-born speakers.
Yes.
Yeah, so sometimes they get their question out any way they can, and that's okay.
For a while, we had Spanish speakers. Entonces, si quieren preguntarnos preguntas en español, nos pueden hacer eso.
To translate that, he said, my Spanish isn't any better than my English, so this is what I got.
Exactly. You're going to be confused either way.
I mean, just blame it on his slab.
My slab is slowly deteriorating my mind. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This question comes from Mr. Pink. Are the Chaos Gods all-knowing, and can they be fooled or tricked? They are not all-knowing.
Even Zeech.
Even Zeech. They are in a constant wheel of chaos. One is taking over the other, and nobody knows the real outcome of the future, because there is no future, there is no past, there's just chaos.
There's no time either.
Right.
Even though there's like a well of time, and there's like plot holes because of that, but who are we to say what is and what isn't?
We were biologically evolved to perceive time the way that it is in our current era. For us to try to understand what the Immaterium is like is kind of like trying to teach an ant how to
beatbox.
Exactly.
They have no comprehension.
Nope.
They're like, you want me to use my mouth for words? Bro, watch this. And then they start crypt dancing.
Yep. And they go click, click, click.
Because that's how ants talk.
Click, click, click. Last question. Do you got one?
This one's by Eric Matos Viegas. Considering that Gilliman spoke with the Emperor and noticed his lack of humanity, is it possible that he, in fact, has spoken to the Golden Throne instead, having the throne turned into a servitor-like machine with the Emperor as its biological parts. And his last intentions are its programming. What would this mean for 40K?
That is amazing, and that is like super good, like fan theory type stuff. Because yeah, we don't really know what the origin. Well, we do know what the origins of the Golden Throne is. It's old one technology. So what if the old ones are controlling the Emperor through that, and they are telling him, become a god?
Right, because what if the Golden Throne is like a AI sentience, and it's using the Emperor's biological fluids and parts to sustain it? And that's why the Emperor, it's like, he's dying because the throne is absorbing him. But at the same time, he's the Emperor, so he's kind of fighting that off. That's why his deterioration has been so slow throughout these 10,000 years.
And what if they're like the real Emperor, the one that was on that fought during the Horus Heresy, is turning into a god, and that is the real him, and he is trying to warn humanity that the corpse Emperor, the one that's on the Golden Throne, is just old one, like basically a puppet manipulated by the Golden Throne, and in reality, like the Chaos Space Marines were always right.
Yeah, that's why they don't acknowledge the Emperor as their Emperor. They say that's the corpse Emperor.
Yeah, wow, that's really good. That's like some hardcore stuff right there.
Yeah, we gotta go talk to Joe Rogan ASAP.
Yep, talk about chimps and elk meat.
I'll ask you about that later.
And those are the questions for today. This is Gershwin,
The Sound Alchemist, sitting above a slab, signing out.
Oh, what if you could put my